Howdy. My name's Chris Raymer. I'm a very grateful recovered alcoholic. A big crowd. I hope the fire marshal doesn't come anywhere near here because we were so screwed if that happens. And it's getting a little warm in here. I'm fixing to shuck this coat. I just wanted to make sure y'all saw it. And yes, as far as I'm concerned, y'all can start removing your clothing too. And we're all adults here. Come on. Maybe not. Guys, I got to thank Chris and the committees. Anybody that asks me to come speak. My weekends stay so backed up, but sometimes in the middle of the week I can sneak out. So this was pretty good. I really want to thank any of you guys that put money in the basket to try to make this thing happen. I know all this extra money is going to Intergroup, and what a cool idea that is. And Intergroup needs our support no matter where you live. They do a hell of a job. But it costs money to bring me in. Patty's with me, and she's expensive. So I don't. She brought her own ticket. That's the guys. They pay for a ticket in a hotel, and that's it. And so, but flights nowadays, in case y'all haven't noticed, are a little expensive. So it just used to be able to fly anywhere in the world for $200, and now it's a lot more than that. So thank you for your generosity and allowing us to do that. I got sober November 13th, 1987, and it was after a whole bunch of years of trying to get sober. And a lot of y'all have heard CDs of mine, and a lot of you haven't ever heard CDs of mine, and that's okay too. I want to try to clarify stuff. What I want to do here tonight. I got some thoughts I want to share with you about recovery, and I'm going to share my story, and I want to make it real clear what that's about. That's my story, not necessarily your story. Alcoholics, I got to tell you, and I know there's some little drug addicts snuck in here too. Welcome. I know we got some purists in here that will offend, but I know you got the look, so welcome. All you little new guys that are in here, bless you, welcome. I'm glad you're here. But it's amazing to me, I've said this from a million podiums, how closed-minded alcoholics can get. We tell you little new guys, you little 30-day wonders, we tell you got to be open-minded and willing until you get to be about 5 years sober, then you can just close your mind about anything that you don't agree with. You love me right up until the time I say something that doesn't apply to you or you don't agree with. And then he's just that little opinionated asshole is what he is. And welcome. I don't know what to tell you, guys. What I want to do is throw some thoughts out there, and I guarantee you some of you guys are going to agree with some of the stuff I'm saying, and some of you guys are not going to agree. It doesn't make a damn bit of difference. I love you, and you love me, I'm sure, in your own special way. And so we're just going down the road, guys. This idea of being a successful eating is if everybody. See, I want something to challenge me. See, for me, I want to grow spiritually. I'm not living off a spiritual experience that I had 25 years ago. I'm coming from current stuff that I get from you guys and on the phone and emails. I pass out thousands of cards, and you guys email me in the middle of the night and ask questions and talk. And every time we get a chance to get together, I get to grow, and that's what this is about. And so I want to share some thoughts. And if you're sitting in here next to your sponsor, and I say something exactly opposite of what he's been telling you, he's right. I say it, but you don't believe it. It's just the same stuff. I'm a little big book thumper, guys. Let me tell you my story. There you go. I was at work. I do some part-time work for a treatment center down in South Texas, and I've been in the treatment center industry for 20 years, and I've seen this play out 100 times in different scenarios. But I grabbed one of the little guys. He's detoxing like a big dog, and I took him down to the little cantina. He's coming unglued, and I set him down at the table and get him a Big Red and a Pop-Tart. Now, any of you guys that are new about this and ever want to detox somebody, you don't need no stinking meds. I'm just telling you, you don't. Big Red and Pop-Tart. I don't care what flavor. There's enough sugar there to punch you right through to the other side, I can promise you. And this little guy sitting there, this. I don't know if any of y'all have ever drank a Big Red or not, but this little guy's having a spiritual experience, and oh my gosh, little mouth is red. He looks like a bird, And anyway, I got a big book with me and I set it down on the table, and I ain't kidding, guys. Honest to God, he takes his finger, a little bony finger like mine, and slides that big book off the table onto the floor. Oh, good, what was that about? He said, Chris, I've done AA, comma, it doesn't work. And I want to do just like Chris did and tear up. Because you see, I know it works. When you do it the way the Big Book outlines, buddy, you can't not have a spiritual experience. You can't not be taken to a different spot. That's just a fact. See, some of you guys in here are outright content with what you're doing. And I got to tell you, my old sponsor Mark used to say, he says, I smell more. And it's like, I want to get taken to a different spot. My heart goes out to the cat that's sitting in here, multiple years sober, bone powder dry. You know what it says? With this just, I'm not drinking one day at a time for 30 years, but if I get near a gun, I'm going to shoot myself or you. I can dig it. I can relate. And those are the cats that I bond with. Those are the guys that I want to visit with, because it doesn't have to be that way. Patty pointed out to me today. One of the guys in my sponsorship lineage was a guy named Don Pritz. He passed away 8 years ago tonight, and I'm sure he's in the room with us. He was such a wonderful man. He talked a lot about the stuff that we're going to talk about here about a primary purpose. And I'm so grateful that I had old timers around me that kept pointing me back into the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous for my solution. Kept pointing me to a power greater than myself for a solution instead of some open discussion hell that we'll talk about. Maybe we won't. Maybe we won't talk about that. I think one of the biggest mistakes we've ever made in our fellowship, I will start right off and just go ahead and say this, is the biggest mistake we ever made in our fellowships all over the world, is that we allowed the absolute crystal clear solution to be misrepresented. I got a text from a buddy of mine down in the valley when we were driving over this afternoon, and he was in a noon meeting, and they were talking about the fifth tradition and talking about our primary purpose, and he was sharing out of the Big Book what that primary purpose was for the newcomers in the room, and old timer busted him and said, I don't care what you read in that Big Book. All you got to do to stay sober is go to meetings. And I know there's some of you in here that believe that that's true because that's what you've been doing. But that's not the message out of the book. See, this is where I'm coming from. Bill Wilson, 1946, he had you can look in As Bill Sees It, there's a little letter, an excerpt from the letter. And I've started 1,000 talks with it. But it says, our chief responsibility to the newcomer is an adequate presentation of the program. What's an adequate presentation of the program? It doesn't have to mean this rigid lockstep. It's sufficient enough so that you could take the information I give you, turn around and do what I've told you to do, and have sobriety. See, I've never seen anybody not be able to get sober doing this. I've seen thousands of people listen to the middle of the road knuckleheads out there who say you can do this any way you want and end up in a whole lot of trouble. And see, that's my story, guys. My twin brother, when he shares from the podium, I just kind of look at him like a little dog and kind of cock my head. He asked me to take him to a meeting one night. He was tired of drinking, sick and tired of being sick and tired. And, we took him to a meeting and he went and he never relapsed. He got sober that day. Wow. He is definitely the evil twin. I don't know what to tell you. But I struggled with this for years, and that's my story. But we were all raised in the hill country and down in central Texas, down near San Antonio. And I was actually born out in West Texas, but my identical twin brother and I, we had two sisters, and they're just delights. They're absolute sweethearts. Neither one of them have had any trouble with alcohol or drugs or anything. And my twin brother and I, we kind of lit up like a neon sign. We started drinking in high school, and I'll never forget drinking a bottle of Boone's Farm apple wine with a buddy of mine. I was 18 years old, and it was January, in hindsight, I know this, it was in January 1971. It was the month that Bill Wilson, the co-founder of Alcoholics Anonymous, passed away. Chris Raymer took his first drink. And I didn't get squashed and have a blackout and go rob a liquor store. I didn't do anything goofy. I walked across the field and I said, this is why Pops drinks. This is why Dad drank all those years. He was a hell of an alcoholic, and he was a periodic. He didn't drink every day, but when he'd start, he'd be gone. That phenomenon of craving would kick in, and he'd, bye-bye, Dad, we'll see you in a couple of months. And then he'd come back, but he was going to work. He was doing everything he was doing, and that's what so many of us in this room are. We were like functioning alcoholics. And some people are offended by that expression. But most of us, early on in our illness, if this is progressive, we can drink, we can drug, we can do lots of crazy stuff and lots of it. People used to gather around. Myers was a bartender and I was a cook. We were a perfect match. And, he ate steak and I drank, Grand Marnier. And it was a great deal. But people couldn't imagine how much I could drink. Little skinny guy. And it was amazing. I thought it was just because I was a stud. And partly because I was. But, these Texas boys, But no, buddy, if you find yourself the fact that you can drink and drug more than anybody else around you, buddy, be afraid. Be very afraid. It's one of the first symptoms of alcoholism and drug addiction. I'm just telling you, going in the door. And this genetic predisposition. But listen, my little sister didn't. We were laughing about it. One year at New Year's Day, they have a little weenie roast up there in the hill country. And my older sister asked she said, could you go buy some beer? And then she stopped herself, like, that's going to trigger me. If I've been sober a whole bunch of years. I'm a recovered alcoholic. I can be around that stuff. It doesn't bother me. That's what the promise is out of the book. I get so sick and tired of people introducing themselves. I'm recovering alcoholic. I've been sober 30 years. God damn, why don't you finish your amends and, get well, and then we can... Probably shouldn't have said that. I know. And did y'all notice that half the room wasn't applauding? It's the most controversial thing. Used to be I cussed a lot from the podium. That was the controversy. Let's go hear Chris say the F word. And I don't do that anymore. What I do now is I introduce myself as a recovered alcoholic. And that's twice as bad. God. Guys, the big book tells you on page 90 to introduce yourself to the newcomer as a person who has recovered. The treatment centers told you that we will always be recovering because it's great for business. And if you think there's any other reason to do that, you're wrong. This is not about humility. Guys, I could get drunk tonight. I know we have a daily reprieve. I'm not going to argue that point with you. But guys, I haven't obsessed about alcohol in 25 years. I'll be damned if I'm going to stand up from the podium and tell these little new guys coming in the door that you're always going to be sick, struggling one day at a time to stay sober. If you're doing that, buddies, listen up. I got some good news for you. Because you can get well from this thing. You can absolutely get taken to a different spot. Anyway, where was I? And she was afraid she triggered me because she was going to get some booze. And I said, buddy, we'll run down to the store and get you some. How much do you need? Like that. She handed me $20. I said, God dang, how many people are coming to this party? She says, I don't know. There'll be 60 or 70 people. And I'm looking, look. Are you just cheap or what? I mean, because all of her friends and the people, my sisters were going to be there, they don't drink. They have a beer and that's it. My little sister, I've heard her 1,000 times. Lisa, you want another drink? No, thank you. I'm starting to feel it. Me too. I don't understand. You want another drink or not? Y'all y'all know where I'm at with that. Anyway, but my twin brother and I lit up like neon signs, and we went to Houston. And guys, I'm going to tell you, I was pretty successful. And that's what happens with so much of us. Guys, when alcohol's working, this is why your families think we're all nuts, because they don't, don't you know you're wrecking your life? But don't you understand that for about 15 minutes, I am God. You can't touch, I'm a better salesman, I'm a better dancer, come on, guys, we've heard 1,000 speakers say it. If alcohol, the doctor's opinion says, he says, we drink for the effect produced by the chemical. Y'all with us? You talk to some of these little college-age kids. I drink to get shit-faced, man. I want to get messed up. Not me. You're not going to get laid like that, ever. Well, it's the truth. I want to get right. Y'all understand it? Y'all know when you got it all balanced out, and you got the perfect amount on board, and everything's fine. You can't touch them. You say yes, great. Score. You say no, fine, no problem. Next. It's a win-win situation. And come on, guys, if everybody in here, if that stuff was still working like that for us, every one of us would be out there in the parking lot doing it. The problem is the real alcohol, the person who's suffering from this illness, this progressive nature of this, it's guaranteed to stop working. Some of you, we pick a little too green because it's still working most of the time. But then there's some times that it's getting a little goofy. I can appreciate that. Welcome to our nightmare, because it's fixing to get worse. And you're not going to believe that any more than the man in the moon. You're going to have to experience it, perhaps. But most of us have enough experience under our belt, even at a young age. You could have diagnosed me with alcoholism at 19 years old. If you knew the questions to ask, they didn't. And we're still making that stupid mistake in treatment centers all over the world and in our AA meetings. Y'all follow? Well, tell us how you got here. And then we start talking about all the drama, and I robbed 6 liquor stores, and I chopped up 15 people, and I'm going to go right back there in just a second. I went to North Texas. I got married in the late 70s, and 1980, I think, and that's about as late 70s as you can get, I guess. Y'all listen on XM radio, you go in there and it's on CNN or the 80s, because I'm trying to put together that decade. It's a little vague with me. But I moved up, got married, and we moved up north because I've got this idea that Houston's the problem. That's a big city, and I'm cooking for a living. I'm a professional chef, and I'm making some money. I've got a little barbecue restaurant. I'm doing okay, but I got nothing to show for it. You'll follow, because I got a tendency to take stuff out of the till. It's my money. Why shouldn't I be able to do anyway? We were up in North Texas, and one night, I think some of y'all can relate to this. Depression is one of the number one symptoms of untreated alcoholism. And of course, we have a tendency to want to give you a pill to fix that. But the truth is, if you're the real alcoholic and the depression, it's not going to do much. It may alleviate it. I'm not knocking the antidepressants, but I was on 7 when I finally tried to commit suicide in 1987. So, there's some of us, it doesn't work very well. My problem was never clinical depression. My problem was untreated alcoholism. And what I needed to do was have a spiritual experience and recover, and the rest of the stuff lifted. And that's what so many people I talk to have been just absolutely misdiagnosed. But I'm up in North Texas, and there's 9 times out of 10, I'm pretty happy, but I'm coming apart at the seams, and I've added some other things to my repertoire. And we get in a little pushing match with my first wife, and I'm one of them old cats that was raised as country as they come. We don't touch women. We treat them with respect. I don't care how drunk you are. And I shoved her that night, and we got into a big row. And by the time all the dust settled, she asked me, she said, "Why did you do that? What was up?" And I says, "I'm drunk on my butt, and I'd had some other chemicals, outside issues involved, and I was a mess." And she said, "If you want to stay married to me, we're going to have to do something." She says, "I know, I'm going to have to quit drinking." And I was so ready to quit drinking. I'm so done. It's not fun anymore. And I made a promise that I wasn't going to drink anymore. And 2 weeks later, chefs wanted me to have a cold beer after work, and I stopped and had one drink with them and came on home, patting myself on the back because I didn't get shit-faced. I'm pretty good, didn't get drunk, And when I walked in the door, she could smell it. You know how significant that she could see it as I get out of the truck. You've been drinking again. They just know. And I wasn't drunk, but I drank, and that was my deal with her, was that I wasn't going to touch another drink. And she went to the bedroom there, and she says, "I'm done." And there was no arguing, there was no talking. She packed her stuff and left town. And I had 7 more years left in me. I got to say this, guys, because I can't talk from the podium and not say it. When I looked that woman in the face and told her that I wasn't going to drink anymore, I meant it with every fiber in my body. And I want to take an argument and exception with people that want to make us all out to be a bunch of liars. The truth of the matter is alcoholics and addicts don't have a choice whether they're going to drink or not. And you can say you're going to quit and have every good reason in the world to not do it and not be able to do it. We've got a treatment center industry out there that wants to call it a disease and then treat it like a behavioral problem. And it is not. Do I behave poorly when I'm drunk? Sometimes. Does that need some good therapy? Maybe some good working around? Absolutely. Bring it on. I'm not going to have a problem with that. But guys, I'm not choosing to drink. And when I told her I was going to stop, I meant it with every fiber in my body. Y'all understand that? When you looked at your kids and told them you were going to quit, you meant it. When you looked at that probation officer or that judge or that coach or that teacher that loved you and told them that you were done, you meant it. You didn't understand, like me, that you didn't have the power to do that. See, that's what makes alcoholism fatal. And there's only a small percentage of us that are wired like that. The problem in our fellowship today is that we've got a lot of people out there that can make up you'll quit when you get sick and tired. I might go to detox when I'm sick and tired. I might lay the booze down when I'm sick and tired, but I won't be able to stay sober because I'm sick and tired. If you can do that, you're not an alcoholic. Bill Wilson spends page after page, 3 places, separate pages in the book. He talks about the moderate drinker, the hard drinker, but what about the real alcoholic? You want to go to an AA meeting, you want to watch a bunch of people's hair catch on fire all at the same time? Introduce yourself as a real alcoholic sometime. Watch somebody, well, you think you're something special? I'd rather be special than an imposter. Did I say that from the podium? Oh my God. I'm so sorry. Anyway, I went to Alcoholics Anonymous trying to save that first marriage, and we started a journey from hell. I had moments of sobriety. I went to that first meeting up in Denton, Texas, and there was an old geezer in there, and I walked up some stairs. It was downtown, and it was dark, and I walked into a room, and it was not like this. It's cool, all the neat stuff. Look at this picture over here with Bill Dotson, number 3. I mean, how could you look at that and not cry? It's like, and I walk up and there's this one little light in this little room, and there's an old geezer in there, and he's getting in one of these easy Barca lounger things. You know what I'm talking about? That all old men have. I don't know what I don't know. I don't own one, but I'm gonna someday. I don't know what he's laying back in it. He grabbed the handle and set up real quick, and it was like a scene from Psycho. You know, he came into that light and the lamp shut. I go, oh shit! And he said, welcome. I said, thanks. He said, you scared the bejesus out of me. And he said, do you have a desire not to drink today? Yeah. I'm drinking now. I got a quart in the car. Can I still come in? He said, absolutely. But do you have a desire not to drink? Now, what he's doing is what we're supposed to be doing in AA. I know he's qualifying me for membership in Alcoholics Anonymous. You follow? Not once in 7 years did anybody sit down and qualify me as an alcoholic or not. They just wanted to make sure there was no little nasty drug addicts infiltrating their beautiful little meeting. Which always kills me. You know, it's like I understand singleness of purpose. We don't need to be talking about that. You come into Texas and start talking about smoking crack, somebody's going to stop you, and they have every right. Say, buddy, we don't do that here. Let's talk about your problems with alcohol. I don't have a problem with that. You with us? All right, who's next? And then we'll start the lady next to you will start talking about her grandkids. Oh, this is good. This is rock. Oh, I love this shit. Oh, this is good. This is good. Well, let me see if I can get this straight. We can't talk about crack cocaine, but we can talk about your grandkids. No? Listen, guys, if you got a format that allows that, and y'all want to just sit around and talk about your day, there's nothing wrong with that. But you see, the message that we carry, it's like that guy in that meeting down in the valley this week, at lunch with my friend. He's carrying the message that if you just go to a bunch of meetings and talk about your day, you can stay sober. And some people can. But the real alcoholic is not going to be able to do that. Y'all with us? I'm not saying don't talk about your grandkids, but that's what we go to dinner for after this to talk about. I want to see all those pictures. No, not really. Not really. Not really. But if you got pictures of your puppies, I would love to see those. Patty can't have dogs because we travel so much. But if I ever get off the road, we're going to have a whole bunch of dogs. I don't know. Puppies. Okay. I got to read something to you, and I'm a big book fan, but this happens to come out of 12 and 12. More sobriety brought about by the admission of alcoholism and by attendance at a few meetings is a very good thing. But it is bound to be a far cry from permanent sobriety and a contented, useful life. That is just where the remaining steps of AA program come in. Nothing short of continuous action on these as a way of life can bring the much desired result. You'll follow? See, guys, what nobody would explain to me for 7 years and in and out of Alcoholics Anonymous is that alcohol's not my problem. It's not. Alcoholism's my problem. I've proved it 1,000 times that alcohol's not my problem. All I got to do is quit drinking. I've been detoxed more times than you can shake a stick at. So have you. And once it's out of your system, then there's no more problem with alcohol. Y'all follow? This is why we got to understand that this was about when these guys were down with it, when they first wrote this book, when they were talking about being recovered, they understood that this was for keeps by God. A day at a time if you want, but this is for keeps, not this temporary thing that we do. You'll follow? And every time one of you little cats relapses, everybody wants to scrape it back on your plate. Well, I knew he just didn't want it bad enough. So my question is this. Did they not want it bad enough? Because that could possibly be a reason. Or did they not hear the adequate presentation of the program to stop? Because you got well-meaning people telling them, just don't drink and go to meetings. It's like me trying to teach you guys how to ride a bull. Well, just hang on. No, I've never ridden a bull, but I hang around a bunch of them that do. But y'all laugh about that. But don't y'all think if Bill Wilson thought that was important, he would have put it, go to 90 meetings in 90 days and don't drink. I mean, why did he waste his time writing 164 pages of absolute bliss? Y'all follow? Making some of y'all uncomfortable. I'm sorry. I know you love your program as much as I love mine. I know you love AA as much as I love AA. And I just, from my perspective in the treatment industry, watching the people come in, most of these cats have been to AA before. You follow? Very seldom. I mean, I love it. We get a little AA virgin, you know. Any of you guys not been, I've never been to AA before. No, really? How about Narcotics Anonymous? Nope, I've never been to any 12-step pro. Oh, you're mine. Let's go. Because they're going to be easy. There's a piece of cake because we don't have to unlearn them about anything, you know. Everybody comes into these facilities with these preconceived ideas. Y'all follow? Just unbelievable. Unbelievable. 7 years in and out, I can't stay sober. And I'm seeing a doctor. Thank God for doctors. And I'm on all kinds of medications. And I'm... I even took an antidepressant suppository one time. Man, you got I don't even know if they're around anymore or not. You know, Y'all would think back though for just a second. Think about the crazy stuff that you've done out there. You know, because somebody said, you know what I'm saying. You want to argue with me about finishing your 4-step and let's get on and then start sponsoring some people, but you're going to do an antidepressant suppository. You know, you're going to do all of this other happy whore that everybody wants to suggest. I don't know what to tell you. The stuff that they ask people to do in treatment is just mind-blowing sometimes. You know, they want to, that's the hard stuff. That's the deep stuff. The 12 steps is like kissing a baby's butt compared. But we've placed it like it's such an option to do, and it was never intended to be an option. Every one of us gets to do it a little bit different. Up in Bill's story, he talks specifically about each in our own way are going to carry this message. You're not going to carry it like me. You're not going to carry it like Patty or Chris. You're going to carry it like you carry it. Thank God for that. But it's the same message. Y'all follow? You can come into a room like this and we could talk and visit like I've done with so many of you, and you're all on the same page. You're going to do it a little bit different, but we're all heading in the same direction. And that's how cool this is. We're gaining on them. I got to tell you, for the first time in years, Alcoholics Anonymous is actually growing again. It's pretty cool. Anyway, I'm on all these medications, and I'm seeing a psychiatrist, and I'm talking about everything under the sun. I'm driving them crazy. You know, Chris, why are you drinking? She won't marry me. And, oh, okay. And they come back 6 weeks later. Chris, why are you drinking? She married me. And it's like, well, y'all think about it. How many of y'all drank when you had a great relationship with somebody? Let the record show all the hands. How many when you had a crappy relationship? How many with a great job? I'm in a lousy job. Nice big apartment. Yeah, not so nice. Yeah, nice little burned out trailer on here. Cardboard box. Yeah, come on. I had a guy in San Diego, he says, I finally found the perfect trigger. It's called consciousness. We all laugh, but listen, I don't care I don't care where I'm speaking, in Europe, in the United States, what state I'm speaking in. We do this same stuff. We talk about it. We get the same laughs. Everybody nods their head. And then they still add credibility to this idea that I'm drinking because of something out there. Guys, there's only 2 reasons you're going to drink. You don't know what the problem is, or you don't know what the solution is. Because if somebody's giving you the solution, by God, I guarantee you it's not that difficult to do and you'll get well. That's my story. 1987, I'm so done with AA, it's not even funny. If I have to listen to your war stories one more time, I'll shoot myself. There's a great line on page 24 in the book. I won't turn to it to take the time, but it says, you won't remember the consequences of even a week or a month ago. These thoughts won't come to the forefront of your mind to deter you from drinking. The big book is saying you won't remember your own consequences. Guys, which leads me to believe that you won't remember mine either. Y'all with us? Guys, I get emails from all over the world. People hear these stupid CDs and talk and visit. And I got buds everywhere. I've never had, not in 25 years of sobriety, I've ever had one person come to me and say, "Oh, Chris, I remember you telling me about eating out of dumpsters in Houston, Texas, and I stopped drinking." Not once. And for you in here killing them, if you don't remember your last drink, you probably haven't had it. I don't remember my last drink. Guys, my story is so important it's not even funny. Don't misquote me. Don't leave here saying Chris Raymer says our stories are not important any more than you say. I get the bad rap. People say Chris is saying don't go to meetings. Man, I'm saying go to meetings. I'm just saying stop putting the importance on the meeting and start putting the importance on the quality of the meeting. Because the person in this room that goes to the most meetings ain't the cat that's going to get sober. You're hiding out from AA. You're hiding out from life at that point. The guy that finishes the steps and starts sponsoring others is going to stay sober the rest of his life. Been my experience, but it's Bill Wilson, Dr. Bob's experience. That's why they wrote it in the book. Y'all follow? My story's so important. Here's what it is, guys. In a 12-step call or sponsorship, you're working with somebody. Let's say we got this little guy right here and he's been drinking, right? I can't go up to him and say, "Listen, have you seen the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous?" It's all of a sudden, he's so defended, especially if he's been in AA a while. I've done that. I don't want. But we can sit down and start talking about some drinking, and I can get a little feel about where he's drinking. And I used to go in them little chicken clip-on ties, and in sales, and I can identify with a professional, sort of, But I'm talking about drinking a little bit and yeah, I drank like that. I did this, and boy, y'all follow? Get him pretty soon. He's gonna ask the question. Sometimes you got to talk 20 minutes. Sometimes you got to talk an hour. But sooner or later, he's going to ask the question. But you don't seem to be drinking anymore. I'm not. Wait, nice and easy. You with us? It's like fishing. Click, click, click. Really. Don't jump to the conclusion. Let him ask. You got to wait till he gets the bait all the way in his throat. Y'all with us? And he'll say, "You got some fishermen in here. I can see it. You didn't smile all night until I started talking about fishing." Goddamn. You're just like Texans, I'm telling you. Just like, it's easy, just nice and easy. Then pretty soon he's going to say, "Well, but how did you do it?" You set the hook. So, "Well, I'm glad you asked." And then tell him your story about how you worked the steps and had a spiritual experience and how the obsession lifted and you haven't obsessed about alcohol. You'll follow? You don't have to. He's not interested in hearing the stupid stories after that. What drives me crazy is we get people. Thank you. We got people coming to meetings and that's all they ever hear. The newcomer. You've got to go to a meeting every day. They do, and every meeting they go to, people. "Oh, we have a newcomer. Let's tell him how we got here." Well, oh shit. Let me guess. You drank too much. Come on, buddies. Y'all get real uncomfortable when I start talking about that. I'm not Friday night from the podium. You better have a good story. In fact, I suggest that you make up a new story. Some of your stories are, terrible. Yeah, make up some good, add some juicy shit to it. That's because from Friday night you got to have a good story. Y'all with us? My question is noon, an open discussion meeting, and you got a brand new little newcomer in here. Nice lady sitting in there with her little purse right in front of her, scared to death, freaked out, got her little sheet, fixing to have to get something signed, and she's worried to death. Oh shit, look, there's a guy with a black eye patch back there. Oh shit, why did I have to do this? Why did I have to do this? Y'all follow? And this lady, she comes from across. She's wealthy. But she got caught. She showed up at a soccer game, had a little booze on her breath. She got busted. And she's had problems with drinking. She knows she's got problems, and she needs some help. You follow? But what are we gonna do? Whoa, let's tell this nice newcomer how we got here, and then we're gonna go around and tell her how we got here, and we're gonna try to scare the shit out of her. You can't lie to me and tell me that that's not what you're trying to do, because you are. The minute I start talking about eating out of dumpsters in Houston, Texas, she clutches that Louis Vuitton a little closer to the chest. Y'all understand? She starts talking about having DWIs, or you've never had a DWI. Guys, that's my story. I did it for 7 years, listening to you try to scare me into these rooms. Always with, if it hadn't happened to you, it will. Yeah, like I believe that, you loser. What we're supposed to do, the book tells us, is to pull the newcomer with a vision of how cool life can be. in 1987, I picked up a stack of returned checks in my mailbox and went to a little apartment, and it was a little co-signed apartment. You know, my sister-in-law, and I opened those returned checks, and I bounced another rent check. And I'm 35 years old, and I had $60 in the bank, and I'm just done. It's 4:00 in the afternoon. It's real overcast outside. It's cold up in North Texas, and I can't do this. And I went to the medicine cabinet. There was a bunch of pills I'd stockpiled, and I'm going to try to off myself. I've been drinking for about 17, 18 years, and I can't stop. I've been in AA for 7 years. I've been in therapy for 10. I'm on 7 medications a day. I can't do this. There's a great line on page 52. It talks about you're going to know loneliness like few do. You're going to wish for the end. And I took those pills and I swallowed them down. And about the time I got to my gut, I heard a voice that said, "Don't do this. Go back to AA." And that's the joke. It was probably the guy's vacuum cleaner next door. But what I heard was, this wasn't a thought. Perhaps you should go back to Alcoholics Anonymous. This was a voice I heard. Go back. I've had emails from all over the world. People heard the same voice. Sometimes it was a female voice. Sometimes it was a male voice. I don't know. But this voice said, "Don't do this. Go back to AA." There was no discussion. And I heard it twice. I made myself sick and laid down on the side of the bed and passed out. And the next morning I got up and sat on the side of the bed and I heard the voice for the last time. Verbally, "Don't do this, go back to AA." And I made a commitment that day to do it. And I went to the doctors at lunch and got some doggy downers to start this detox process one more time. And at 6 o'clock, I'm arguing myself because I'm feeling pretty lousy. But I know if I don't go to AA tonight, I'm not ever going to go back. And there's a meeting between me and where my little apartment is. I'd never been there before. Somebody had showed me years before. Some of you guys that think that these 12-step calls don't pay off, this guy on a 12-step call showed me this meeting. He said, "This is a little big book thumper meeting." And I did not sure what that was, but it sounded like zealots to me. And I wasn't going to, Anyway, I went to this meeting, and sure enough, I walked in the back door, and the first thing I noticed on the table, besides ashtrays that were mounded with cigarette butts, this is back in the day we could smoke. Oh my God, the ceilings would lower, and this was 1987, November. It was Friday the 13th, and I walked in this back door, and everybody had big books on their tables, and they were laughing their ass. I don't know what was going on, but I was sure they were laughing at me, and I walked in about halfway, and some lady cackled over there like they just. You know what it is? To be spiritually connected and just laugh from your toenails. That not this little tee-hee. I'm talking just gut laugh, and that's enough for me. I'm out, And I start to take a step back. And this little girl had snuck up behind me, and I've told it from every podium I've ever spoken from. And she was about 19 years old. She was sober a year, and she hooked her finger in my belt loop. She swore at the time she didn't come up on my blind side. But she did. And because if she'd have come up this way, I'd have stopped. I'd have maneuvered. I'm great at it. And it wasn't some guy that did it. I'd have just shoved you out of the way. I was so I like an ingrown hair. It's all about me. And she said, "Sit down, cowboy. You're not going anywhere." Listen, guys, because I got some lady called me all pissed off one night. You heard about that. And men are supposed to work with men, and women are supposed to work with women. And I told her before I was finished to bite me. And I didn't say she sponsored me, and I didn't say I went over to her house and we studied the big book together. Her sponsor was across the way and couldn't get to me, and the room was packed, and she said, "Get him," and she got me because she understood our primary purpose was to help the alcoholic that was still hurting. Y'all understand that? We got too many people standing on the sidelines wanting to bitch and moan about how we're doing the work, and I'm fed up with it. It's like we're all down in the digging, and we got a whole bunch of people sitting around with clipboards pointing down in a hole telling us how we could do it better. Eat me. I gotta say this. I gotta say, with all the respect, do we really have enough people in that trench digging to be telling people what they can't do? You're not sober long enough to work with others. Listen, some of you little new guys that are in here, that's your job. That for the next couple of days, I want you to study the big book, and I want you to show me in the book where it says that you've got to wait a year to work with a drunk. You show it to me and then holler at me. You can come get me an email up here, and I'll give it to you, and I'll give you I'll buy you a pony. You can find it. Come on, that's pretty cool. Your own pony? How? You want to talk about a chick magnet? Come on, guys, this would be good. Come on, guys, this is stupid. And this is why we have so many people not staying sober. Some of y'all are rolling your eyes, getting uncomfortable. I'm telling you guys, I'm coming out of the big book, and I'm the controversial one. My big book says on 129 at the bottom, it says, in those first days of convalescence, nothing will so much ensure their sobriety as working with another alcoholic. I didn't say you were met 3 days sober. I'm saying get out of your head a minute and see who you can help. For the first time, what happened to me, guys, I walked in that room and I sat down at this table and these people went around the room and the chairperson, I got to tell you, the chairperson, this is going to shock some of you. I just need to give this warning because I don't want any of you passing out in this heat. This chairperson realized that there was a brand new squeaky detoxing newcomer in the meeting, and he took charge of the meeting. I know that sounds controversial. Come on, guys. If he'd have gone and says, we have a newcomer here, let's tell him how we got here, I'd have shot myself. Please. He went around the room and says, you cats that have had spiritual experiences as a result of the steps, why don't we share with Chris? He's been around AA for a whole bunch of years. He busted my anonymity. Thank you very much. I'm grateful that he did. He's been in and out forever. Come on, let's show him what happens to us as a result of working the steps. Oh, you know what that means? That means you little knuckleheads that think that you got all the time in the world to work those steps, you had to shut up that night. You couldn't share. It was so cool. It was so fun. I get so excited when we do that. We go to a 4-step meeting, you know what I'm saying? And then we're going to talk about the 4-step, and the guy says, you know what? But I haven't actually done a 4-step. Ding, 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 ding. We ring the bell on him. You ring the bell on him? Absolutely. Why in the hell do I want him to listen to him talk about something that he's got no experience with? You'll follow? Well, what if you hurt his feelings? We did. Come on, guys, because this is what we are going to do. We're going to all be teachers in here. We're not going to let the guy hang. We're going to go up around him and wrestle with him after and make him feel better and explain why we did it. We're supposed to teach them what to do. Y'all understand? We're so concerned about his sensitive little feelings because he's the newcomer that we're going to kill half the people in the room by letting them share. I think newcomers should share. I think we need to hear as much about it if they have experience with what we're talking about. If they don't, they need to shut up. I love it when we go to AA and the alcoholics want to tell all the little pill addicts hiding out in there that, you're not supposed to take. Are you a doctor? Be quiet because you're killing people with that nonsense. I don't think they should take the pills either, but it's not my place to say. Make sense? I got a bunch of you quiet. We're losing more people statistically right now worldwide out of Alcoholics Anonymous via prescription pads than anything else. Fact. Call New York. Fact. That's another talk. Anyway, they went around the room and they talked about getting the cool stuff. And they talked about getting cool jobs and they talked about getting cars. And the guy had a little key ring and I got a brand new car and I'm driving this old beat. It was just a big dent with a license plate tapped to it, you know. And I'm looking at this and everybody thinks, wow, you're blowing smoke. But I mean, this is you think every meeting ought to be a gratitude meeting. Yeah, pretty much. Like a pep rally. Yeah. What's the third step requires to do? What's the third step? How does the third step obligate us to share our hope? We're supposed to bear witness to those we would help. You're not going to help me by telling me another stupid war story. You're going to help me by telling me how your life is better. I contemplated suicide for 10 years, and all of a sudden, I got to tell you, in the last couple of days, I've had a pretty good day. Oh, thank you. How cool is that? How cool is that? This is not about who makes the most money and who does, but God will meet you where you're at. We're supposed to be sharing hope to the newcomer. Anyway, that's what they did to me that night. I'll never forget. They had one of these guys that come in there and he had a car tag, license plate, insurance, and a spare and a jack, all at the same time. You'll laugh. I'm going to tell you, I was like, shit. You could have told me that you survived a heart operation. Oh my God. And a spare? I don't understand. After the meeting was over, the guys came. I got to wrap this up. After the meeting was over, and this guy came up after and said, he said, Chris, I just need to ask you the question. He had these old glasses on like we're always wearing. Y'all follow? And that I swore I would never wear. And when I turned 40, they were there. I don't know what. They just grew. That and hairy ears. What the hell is that? These little new guys, they go, no, shoot, I'd die first. Wait. God, the first time I saw it and I was shaving, I said, what is that, a fucking antenna? Who shaves the top of their ear? Come on, it was on my blind side. I never saw it. No, I look like Mr. Martian. Okay. My favorite Martian. The guy came up after the meeting. He said, Chris, he said, we watched you. You've been around forever. You picked up a Desire chip. Welcome. God, we're so grateful that you're here. And he says, but I'm going to ask you the question that the big book asked me to ask you. Are you done? 7 years in Alcoholics Anonymous, and nobody ever asked me if I was done. You follow? They asked me if I was done today. Guys, I understand the day stuff. I understand it. But the book talks about for keeps. Are you done for good and for all? I said, yes. He said, Chris, you don't have a clue how to do this a day at a time. You don't have a clue how to do this for keeps. We're going to show you. If you'll come in here and do what we ask you to do, and that's going to involve working the steps at a pretty good clip. I've been in AA for 7 years, and I don't even own a big book. I've never done a 4-step. Y'all follow? I still have this image of this in a meeting. I've been in a gazillion meetings. I was on my 60th day going to meetings, and this old guy came up and asked me. It's like Chris had one of those big books with duct tape around it. You know, he'd actually used it for something other than a coffee coaster. And he says, Chris, we're going to go over and have a hamburger over here and study the big book a little bit. You want to come with us? And I thought, yes. Nobody had ever asked me to do anything, folks, in a long time. And I said, absolutely. And I looked over his shoulder, and there's a nice lady in the back, and she's going, and I'm thinking, well, I got the one pedophile in the place. I don't understand. I don't know what he is, but buddy, I just remembered I got to go back to work. And he just rolled his eyes. He knew what was up. He said, okay, no big deal. We go every Tuesday over here to this hamburger joint and do a little big book study. You're welcome anytime. And then I walked back over to the lady and I said, buddy, what was up with that guy? And she's cleaning the coffee bar. She says, oh, he means so well. His heart's in the right place. But buddy, you don't have to worry about those steps right now. Hell, you just got here. You just need to go to meetings and everything's going to be okay. All right. Was this lady trying to hurt me? Of course not. She loved me as much as the old geezer loved me. But she was able to stay sober just going to meetings, not drinking one day at a time. She gets up in the morning and chooses not to drink. Oh, my God. And I get up in the morning and choose not to drink, and by noon, I'm arguing with myself. Because you'll follow? And by 3 o'clock, I'm standing in front of the cooler, irritable, restless, and discontent, listening to my head say, but it's just going to be one beer. You follow? The problem is not that you drank one, stupid. The problem is that you drank a whole bunch of beers. Grab a beer, stop, put it back, grab a quart. If it's going to be one, it's going to be a big one. You'll follow? And I've been in AA for 7 years and don't understand anything about the phenomena called craving. I don't understand what happens. And I think I have a choice. There's something wrong with that picture, guys, if I'm sitting in that many meetings and don't understand the two symptoms of untreated alcoholism. And if any of you in here don't know it, sit with me after and I'll explain it to you. It won't take 10 seconds. It's pretty simple. I said, yes, I was ready to stop for good and for all. And he said, we'll do that. And the next morning they picked me up at my house, for God's sakes. Thank God, because I was detoxing. And took me back up to the club, and we got on our knees in the back room, and we finished talking about the circle triangle and all three parts of the program. We talked about what an alcoholic looks like, and we did a 3rd-step prayer. And we went to lunch, came back, and he gave me a notebook to get started. Let's get cranking on that 4th step. I get emails from everybody. People go, oh, that's a little quick, don't you think? 7 years I've been in Alcoholics Anonymous. How slow do you want to go? Guys, Bill Wilson's in Towns Hospital on his 9th day detoxing, making his 8-step list ready to go. I mean, guys, he was having spiritual experiences. That's what everybody understood. Nobody took longer than 30 days back in the days. You had some of the best recovery in the world here in Florida. Talk to some of these old guys, they'll tell you. Why are we arguing the fact? You're sitting in these rooms 6 months sober, haven't done any of the steps, and you wonder why your life's coming apart. Because you got to take some action. Your story is going to allow me to leave, guys. But these guys sat down and explained alcoholism for the first time, physical craving and the mental obsession, and that's what kept me here. My first step experience stopped me from ever wanting to leave these rooms again. They gave me a case of undeniable alcoholism that night. Not anything I could argue with. And it was the finest gift anybody's ever given me. Y'all follow with that? Pretty cool. 2 weeks later, they got me doing all kinds of service work, guys. I can't tell you. They had me answering the phones. They had me vacuuming the stupid floors. They had me doing all this stuff. But historically, for 7 years, they asked me to sit on my ass and do nothing. You're the most important person here. Just welcome. Guys, me alone in my own head? Oh my God. 25 years sober. It's not a good place to be sometimes. These guys had me. I got to tell you, while I'm vacuuming the floor, I ain't worried about anything. They helped me detox by giving me things to do instead of telling me what I can't do. You can't do an H&I until you've been sober 6 months. You can't sponsor anybody till you're a year. You can't do this. You can't do that. You can't be an intergroup rep until you... Shut up. I don't know what to tell you. God dang, I tell you. There was an old geezer at the end of a meeting, and he said, Chris, he said, I've been meaning to tell you, I was helping him clean up coffee cups. Some of y'all have heard me talk about it. And he was 30 years sober at the time. He's long since passed away. But he leaned over that sink of dirty coffee cups, and he said, Chris, I got to tell you, buddy, we heard you in the meeting tonight. We appreciate you helping us set up and stuff. And I said, we hope you stay, buddy, because we need you. And it's the first time in 7 years in Alcoholics Anonymous anybody had ever said they need us. Listen, for all of you old coots that are coming around and continue to come around, I got an undying gratitude to you for doing this, especially you women in the rooms. We got a lot of women in the fellowship. We don't have too many that are willing to step up to the plate and actually do 12-step work. And I know because we put a lot of pressure on y'all to do everything else under the sun and that. But for those of you that have managed to come and do this, we're just honored to have you. But I got to tell you, for some of you little new guys that have been struggling with this in and out of treatment, I got a guy in treatment right now at my place, been 32 treatment centers. Jesus. Y'all follow? All simply because of the same thing. In 32 years, he's never sponsored one single person. One of the things we were talking earlier, we're starting to see coming back into treatment were people that came to treatment in 70s and 80s. We're getting a lot of people with 20 and 30 years of sobriety coming back into treatment. And I'm stopping and I'm asking them, hugging their necks. I said, buddy, we need to get you back on track. Very few of these guys ever make it back. Most of those are prescription pill addicts now. And that took them back to the alcohol. It's really, really tough to watch. It's just, I'm not saying you can't take prescription medication, but you've got to be real careful with it. But the problem is, I'm asking them the questions, buddy, could you tell me what happened? And they'll start telling, well, my wife this or this work. I said, no. Answer my question. Did you have a home group? Well, I wasn't really going to too many meetings anymore. Rock on. How many guys were you sponsoring? None. Guys, this is what the daily reprieve looks like. It's got nothing to do with me not drinking one day at a time. It's that I've got to do things on a regular basis to stay in that position of neutrality, safe and protected. And one of those things is working with a drunk. I got to go find me a little fresh, little new one. Oh my God. We had one come into the outpost. We had one come in last month, and he made a beeline. I could see him coming, and I'm looking down. Sometimes I feign total blindness. And he gets in there, and we're going to do the Lord's Prayer, and he gets up next to me, and I can smell him, and he's new, very new, and he's like this, and he keep coming back. He works, we say, we don't do that at our group. We say stay, and we said stay, and I let go of this hand, and he didn't let go of this hand. He said, are you Chris Raymer? And I said, yes. He said, could you sponsor me? And everything in my head said, no. Oh, come on, guys. I got a lot of guys I sponsor, and I travel a lot, and I'm kind of busy, and I've been, my hip kind of hurts a little. And I found myself looking at him, and I went, yes. Y'all follow? And the next day we did a 3rd-step prayer just like those guys did with me, and he's working on his 4th-step. Y'all follow? And night before last, I was at my home group, and I'm looking around for my boy, seeing where he was. And I says, I knew. I says, if I get up and he's out there talking to one of them girls, the shit's going to hit the fan, you know? Because we talked about this. I don't mind them dating, but they got to be honest about it. They let us know what's going on. And I walked out there to the outside. He's got him a little guy out there on the picnic tables out in back. He's got him a little guy, and he's got his big book open like that. And he's eating this kid's ass. You know, he says, where's your highlighter? Listen, I told you, every time we do the big book work, you're supposed to bring a you know, just like I told him, you know? And they're sitting out there, and we're having a meeting, and I'm sitting at the door with a cup of coffee, watching my little guy do a 3rd-step prayer with this little brand new guy. Yeah. That'll change your life. I want to read this real quick. Give me 2 minutes, and we're out of here. This is not in the big book, so y'all don't try to find it. But I'm on this big soapbox. And so if you guys ever want to visit about it, one of the things I'm seeing in the treatment industry right now, one of the things I'm seeing in our fellowship right now is a whole lot of cats coming in, especially some of these little newcomers that are stuck at halfway houses. They go to long-term treatment, and then they get halfway houses. And before you know it, they're in some kind of sequestered living for long periods of time. And there's really some good proof that helps, and I don't have a problem with that. But the problem with we're watching so many of these little guys end up relapsing around boredom. And we see it in our fellowships with old people with 2 or 3 years of sobriety. I want to read this to you. Andrew Carnegie is a quote that Andrew Carnegie said. If you want to be happy, forget that you're an alcoholic for a minute. This is universal. If you want to be happy, set a goal that commands your thoughts, liberates your energy, and inspires your hopes. That's pretty cool, isn't it? See, in early sobriety, I had a sponsorship lineage that encouraged me to get busy with life. Not all you're going to do right now is just recovery. Guys, I can do that for a while I'm detoxing. But after that, I got bills to pay. I got to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. You know, I want to go back to the museums and start studying again. And do I want to go to school, or do I want to start a business? This absolute horse hockey that you can't make any decisions for the first year is absolutely what I just called it. Horse hockey. The illness has been, and you're free to disagree. But what I'm seeing with the guys I'm working with, the ones that are excited about their art are staying sober. The ones that have got them a cool little job that they really love are staying sober. The ones that have re-engaged with school are all staying sober. And the ones that are sitting on their ass, going to 3 meetings a day, are not staying sober. We didn't get sober to just go to a meeting. I'm not knocking meetings. Go. Y'all follow? But we're confusing the newcomer when we put all of our emphasis on that. Let's work the steps. Let's get down to brass tacks with this, and let's do what we're supposed to be doing. But guys, if Bill Wilson and Dr. Bob worked the steps in less than 2 weeks, I think shame on us for asking somebody to take 8, 9, 10 months to finish the steps. It's just not that complicated. I always have these little cards with my phone number and email and stuff on there, guys. I always want to stay in touch with you. If any of you guys ever want to call and visit, I'm not there to argue with you. You could do that on Facebook all you want to. You can get on any of the sites out there and introduce yourself as a recovered alcoholic, and there'll be 400 cowards. 400 absolute cowards take a shot at you. I'm not interested in doing that. But if you want to visit, and you want me to send you some cool articles and some neat stuff about recovery, man, I would love to be in your corner, because that's what most of my day has done is connecting the dots with sober people in Florida connected with other people around the world. And if any of you guys are ever interested in that, well, let me know, and I'll put you on my special list. Thank y'all for letting me come.